Lori Chavez-DeRemer as his pick for labor secretary. She lost her congressional reelection bid earlier this month. Chavez-DeRemer is a small business owner who had the backing of the Teamsters Union president for the job of labor secretary. Trump has also chosen Russell Vought as his choice to run the Office of Management and Budget. It's a position that he held during Trump's first term. And the president-elect making this announcement, his choice for U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Jeanette Nashwat. For more, let's go now to CBS News reporter Jake Rosen. Jake, the nominations, this election's coming fast and furious now. What can you tell us about these picks and how they compare perhaps to some of the other more controversial picks? It seems, especially in the case of Bessent, that he is well respected, and several of these others maybe have more of a CV that you would expect to see from a cabinet level position.
Right. And I think the one that really stands out in addition to Scott Bessent is Lori Chavez-DeRemer, who the union head of the Teamsters Union, one of the biggest unions in the country and the biggest in North America, said that they were supporting her and that was a great pick by the president-elect, and that she would work to preserve and expand union jobs in America and protect unions. And now that coming into maybe this election cycle, unions affiliating themselves with Donald Trump maybe wasn't on your bingo card, but it's something that Donald Trump and his campaign over the last 2 years really made a big point of.
And that's
about a year ago.
Oh, sorry, Jake, that's a huge endorsement for Dreamer to have, but she was a one-time congresswoman from Oregon. She's a small business owner and doesn't have a lot of other experience necessarily. How was she able to secure that endorsement from the head of labor?
Well, we know that she met with Donald Trump yesterday, according to our CBS News reporting. That interview must have gone well because, again, a quick turnaround time. But I think you have to remember that Donald Trump has really been pushing in virtue signals really a lot on the campaign trail in terms of his economic policies, but also just hoping to get, you'll remember Sean O'Brien, that union head, went on the stage at the Republican National Convention and spoke about republicanism and unions and how they need to move forward and work together. It's something that Kamala Harris in her campaign faced an issue of, is losing basically anyone but executives for union support. The Trump campaign touted internal endorsements from a lot of these unions. So again, just to get that support from a union group this fast, right after this big slate of announcements, is certainly something big. Now, I'll touch on Russ Vought for a second. He wrote a chapter in the Project 2025 book, that very controversial book that Democrats really made a big point of attacking down the stretch. He is someone who believes that executive power in the U.S. government should be expanded, and that Donald Trump does not need a judiciary or a legislative branch to do a lot of the things that Donald Trump wants to do. Some of that is clawing back unspent money. Some of it is expanding presidential military power, things like that. Putting him in a position like the Office of Management and Budget is certainly a way to get things done in kind of along the lines of a Project 2025 playbook, which is expanding executive authority and giving Donald Trump the right to do what he wants in terms of reforming the government.
And we're also seeing Dr. Jeanette Nashwat is official in this statement from the president-elect. He calls her a fierce advocate and strong communicator for preventative medicine and public health. Among some of her life experiences, he says that during the COVID-19 pandemic, she worked on the front lines in New York City, treating thousands of Americans, and helped patients in the aftermath of President Donald Trump's historic Operation Warp Speed, crediting her and others with saving hundreds of millions of lives. Again, we're seeing another person who is board certified in medicine, being tasked with Surgeon General, the top doctor for the United States. When we're looking at the nominations that we're seeing now versus the nominations that we saw before that were perhaps more controversial, what sticks out to you, Jake?
Well, I think you kind of have to pair what Robert F. Kennedy, the head of HHS, which oversees a huge budget. It's about 25% of the entire federal budget that Mr. Kennedy would oversee if he gets confirmed. and the statements he's made on vaccine skepticism with what you just read there, Lana, which is really this woman was a big part of saving lives in New York City, which was the epicenter for so many months of what was going on with COVID, but also noting explicitly in that statement Operation Warp Speed, which was the U.S. movement led by Donald Trump while he was still in office to get vaccines in American arms, COVID vaccines in American arms. Those things might not coexist, at least on the surface right now. We'll see how this plays out over the next couple of days and weeks. But Robert F. Kennedy has been critical of the COVID vaccine, saying that it didn't work, saying that it hurt Americans. We have Dr. Oz, who's in the mix to oversee Medicaid and Medicare. That's another aspect of the kind of this doctor apparatus that Donald Trump has tried to assemble. And yes, while he says she's going to make America healthy again, how you pair that, a legitimate doctor who's done legitimate work, especially in the 2020 COVID pandemic, with what Kennedy wants to do is yet to be seen, and we'll have to do some investigating and reporting on that too.
Very interesting. And like Dr. Mehmet Oz, Dr. Jeanette Neshwat also knows her television audience as well. As our viewers undoubtedly saw from the photo that we have of her, she was a Fox News contributor. She currently is, but obviously when she takes that spot, that'll become something that's past tense. All right, Jake Rosen, thank you so much. We are going to take a quick break. There's more news ahead. You're watching CBS News 24/7.
Go to the ends of the earth
Right now.
We got something crazy.
and reach for the stars.
Here we are.
Yes, it's my comeback.
Hey, this is pretty fun. But wait, there's more.
Experience thought-provoking